So I want to just do a kind of quick little intro. I have labeled myself as Wiccan. You know, all my blogs, my channels, everything, I have put that I am Wiccan. And that is because, one, that's where I started, like most people, foundational pieces and all that. And two, I am trained from a traditional Wiccan coven. I earned my third degree in that, and for like 15 years, that was my life, was, full moons and Sabbats, we were there. We were Wiccan. We were circling in the Wiccan way. We were following all these things. I was part of a general Sabbat group that was also very Wiccan. Again, that's where we began. But over time, that sort of started to evolve and change. And because that's where I started, I never really thought about calling myself anything else. And I still would call myself a pagan or a witch, and then also Wiccan. And it was also ease of use to just be like, I am Wiccan. Here's a package. Bam. Easy to explain, whatever. But around 2011, 2012-ish, there was, Tumblr was very active. The blogging community was very active. And I followed a lot of those blogs and everything. And I never actually ever really followed other Wiccans. I tended to follow a lot of the Cometics and Animist blogs just because they appealed to me more. There was more of what I did in my private practice in those realms. And Tumblr and the blogs at that point were really super into astral work and shadow work. And astral work has always been my jam. Like, it is a thing that I have always done. It is a big part of my practice. I don't talk about it all the time, but it is. And I was going through a lot of life changes, so there was a lot of work being done. So I was just about to take my third, so my spiritual closet was definitely being cleaned out for that. I was also preparing to get married and also leave the country. I was getting ready to say goodbye to everyone I knew, getting ready to get rid of all my stuff, to purge my stuff, and to move to a whole other country. Like, there was a whole new life was about to start for me. And so I was getting really deeply into my spiritual side and really started to share more of my private practice, especially the shadow work that I was doing. And a lot of my followers, who also were not Wiccan, were like, why do you call yourself Wiccan? This is not Wicca, what you're doing. And it was just like, well, this is what I do. Like, and it's just evolved from what I have learned in my covens and everything, because our coven, well, yes, it was a traditional style coven, also was very proactive about telling us, no, please go explore other paths, please explore other things, grow in other ways, take lessons, join other groups, do whatever you can, because anything you strengthen in yourself strengthens the group as a whole. And so I was able to explore other options, and because of the ties my coven had with other groups, I was able to go to other private rituals and see how other people did things. And at one point I remember talking to an elder, and I made some comment. He's like, do you think we're all Wiccan? I was like, I don't know. Like, all of our public rituals are Wiccan-centric. All of our camps and workshops at the camps we go to are Wiccan-centric. My coven is Wiccan-centric, so I've just always kind of assumed we're all Wiccan. Which is apparently not the case. And that, too, was also when there started to become a lot of backlash against Wicca, and more people were changing what their path were and discussing what their path really was. And we kind of saw this splitting off into other realms of other groups of what other things were out there. And so everyone was like, Cindy, you do not, your private practice, with your coven, you're obviously Wiccan, but your private practice is not very Wiccan. And, there's a whole thing where I don't really believe in the rule of 3, and people will, like, throw hands at that. Like, I was like, whatever, I don't believe in it. I'm sorry, whatever, move on. So I think that because of my coven ties, I held on to the term Wiccan for myself, because I teach Wicca 101, because I can, because I have done all this training, and I was in a Wiccan coven. And it's also an easy way to explain what I do to people, rather than being like, well, I'm actually an astral witch, or a devotional witch, or a priestess witch. Like, there are so many different ways to try and explain your practice, but none of them really encompass the whole thing. So I just stuck with Wiccan as my title for ease of use. Really, you know, I just also say I'm a witch or a pagan. One of my other friends who I'm quite close with, who's an animist, was like, "No, Cindy, you're an animist. I hate to break it." And I'm like, "Well, okay, maybe I am. You know, I don't know." So, I mean, I have blogged about this in the past about deciding, do I want to keep this title? Do I want to keep calling myself Wiccan simply because of the paperwork I hold in a coven, or do I want to explore calling myself something else? I don't know. And so maybe I'm at that point where I'm going to start looking at that. I don't know. We'll see. And at the end of the day, I'm like, does it matter? Does it really matter what I call myself? As long as I know what my path is and I'm happy with it? Yeah, so that's just some ramblings, some thoughts.